in wisdom that if you take the instrumentality of money and make it your intrinsic focus, you're destined for misery.
No doubt.
Now, this is an interesting insight that we can take back to ancient times. But St. Thomas Aquinas in 1265 writes his Summa Theologica, this seminal text of Western philosophy. Forget just the theology, just Western philosophy. And in it, he talks about this very interesting thing. He says that mankind, humankind, would say today, has 4 idols. Everybody pursues one or more of 4 idols, and he calls them the substitutes for God, because his supposition is that we all want God, but God is extremely inconvenient. A lot of one-sided conversations and a ton of rules. So we look for substitutes that have kind of these divine characteristics. The problem is they're 180 degrees off God. They're money, power, pleasure, and fame. Fame, he says, honor, which has different connotations. I have a son who's a Marine who serves with honor. That's not what we mean. We're talking about admiration, envy of other people of you, which is people want that, or just prestige, or maybe fame. Some people actually want to be famous, but let's just call it money, power, pleasure, and fame. Everybody, I play this game, what's my idol? And I'll ask people, not what's your actual idol, but what is not your idol? Of these 4, money, power, pleasure, fame, what's the one that least attracts you, that you could get rid of with total impunity? You don't care. And then we'll start eliminating, and we're going to find your idol. Is the whole thing. Wow. Now, the interesting thing about that is that what he says is not that you'll go to hell if you do that. He says you'll be unhappy if you don't recognize the idol, if you don't recognize the idols in your life. The trouble is the limbic system of your brain, Mother Nature, that tyrant, tells you that you'll actually be happy if you get your idol. And so you chase it and you chase it. You can't quite figure out what you're going to do if you get it. Like Tom's going to get hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. What are you going to do with that money that you would actually like? And you can't quite figure out. Well, yeah, because if you articulate it, if I say you'll buy a yacht, and you're like, that sounds like kind of a hassle to have a yacht. Well, maybe it sounds good, but not that good, right? The real reason you want that is because you want admiration, because you want the validation of what it represents of you to you. You want this transference of social comparison that you've always done with other people. You want to actually feel the thing that you felt for others about yourself. That's what the idols do. That's the nasty switcheroo. That's the despotism of this of mistaking the intrinsic good for the instrumentality. That's why Thomas Aquinas was so astute in what he was talking about here. So when we play this game, and we see what is actually holding us back. And you experience this. Absolutely. You were chasing the thing, getting more and more and more miserable because you were actually getting closer and closer to your idol and realizing it will not realize one single thing that you needed for your own happiness. It had no intrinsic worth. Look, there's anything about money, by the way. The research on money is very clear that it doesn't actually ever bring happiness. It lowers unhappiness, which are processed in different hemispheres of the brain. Happiness and unhappiness are not opposites. They're different experiences. And what happens is at low levels, money will lower unhappiness. So when I could finally go to the dentist, I felt better. The trouble is I don't know how to do the sums inside my brain. I just knew I felt better. And we always mistake lower unhappiness for higher happiness. And so early on, you're like, wow, I went from $15,000 to $20,000 a year, and I felt better. I actually felt better about myself. I was able to eliminate some of these sources of misery, so I'm happier. And so you get into the pattern early on. You wire your brain when you're a young person working your way up the ladder. More money, feel better. That means more happiness. And you realize that going from $250,000 to $300,000 is not doing it. That because it's not big enough jump apparently. And so you go and you go and you go and you go and you go, and you're basically just chasing a lure. It's a real tyranny.